It's time for everyone's favorite series! PK Beats talking about items more than anyone else on this platform has ever dreamed of doing. This series has us talking about the assist trophies of Smash Ultimate, going into good details about how they function in the game, their strengths and weaknesses, and any fun trivia I can think of. Or just read from the wiki. Yes, I'm going to be seeing this to completion no matter how many delays there are, and we'll be making good progress today as we start out with Takamaru and go over to Nintendog. And since I feel like I've been spoiling you all too much by listening to your suggestions for the rarity card colors, today I'm just going to be choosing the hex code at complete random for each individual use. So let's start! Takamaru is a common assist with 30 HP and only 2 restrictions, and he comes from the game called The Mysterious Murasame Castle. Echoing his retro game vibe, he has 2 attack types, one of which are these windmill swords, which he can throw out either in an X pattern or a cross pattern. They do 3% each and can come out 1 to 3 times, but they are pretty easy to dodge. The main meat and potatoes comes from his barrage of slices, dealing a grand total of 30% if you're caught in the full thing. Given how insanely fast the start comes out, it's easy to get caught off guard, and the KO potential is surprisingly high too. If you see him running on the ground, that's the sign that he's trying to start that sword barrage, so you can just try and jump over him. Though if you just barely dodge it, he'll start the attack away from you, opening him up to counterattacks. If you want to spend the match fighting the assist trophy instead of your actual opponent, of course. Now, I'm not really a retro game guy, so I actually had zero clue as to what the Mysterious Murasame Castle was. But he was actually brought up as far back as the Smash Melee board, where Sakurai laments how unlikely it would be for Takamaru to be in the game, and then again later on for Smash 4, where Sakurai briefly comments on how he's happy to finally get him in the game in some way, even going as far as to say that he wanted him as a playable character, even though he couldn't do that. So that just shows you the level of importance we're working with here. Oh, before we move on, I can bring up that in the sound test, you can find the voice lines for all the assists, which has this neat little section for them and everything. I bring it up here because Takamaru's intro voice line is just completely missing from here, which isn't really a surprise at this point. I mean, honestly, there's probably dozens of other missing lines from this section alone if I really tried to find them. I feel like I've gone over how bad the voice test section of this game is so many times, but I figure I might as well tag it onto here too. But if you like assist trophy strategy, then you're probably into strategy games too. In that case, you ought to check out today's video sponsor, Infinity Hexadome Tactics. They're on Steam right now, so you can add them to your wish list, or if you're watching this early, even participate in the free playtest, available until the 18th of August, with the full game launching on the 10th of September. This is a top-down control point game focusing more on tactics and the objective than simply killing the enemy. You fight over these zones, trying to have more of your team over them in order to capture them, forcing you to play more proactively rather than hiding away like a scared baby. And what really makes it fun is the variety of champions to choose from, each having their own stats, strengths, weaknesses, abilities, all that fun stuff that you can hope to expect. My personal favorite right now is Wild Bill and his funky Joker card, which grants him a bonus that empowers his next action. And take a look at Wild Bill's Death Trap move, where he's setting up an Overwatch, being the locked tile on the map. It's not visible to enemies, and once Max pushes 8-ball into it, Wild Bill gets an extra shot at them. Apart from the champion skills, you can also rely on deck building as the sponsors provide different sets of tactical cards that can completely turn the course of the game, especially when you draw out the ultimate. And you get to do this in a variety of arenas, the most impressive being the upcoming Oasis of Hakizlam. Anyways, the game is good tactical fun, and if you want to play, the tournament build is actually already available in the game's Discord, which I have linked below. You'll get free early access, and winners can receive cash prizes and Steam gift cards. Once again, the Steam page is linked below alongside the Discord, so if any of this looks interesting to you, make sure to wishlist it and keep an eye out for the release date on the 10th of September. And thank you Hexadome for sponsoring today's video. Dr. Wright is a rare assist with 36 HP and quite a few restrictions. He actually comes from the SNES version of SimCity, though he's made even more appearances in other games, my favorite of which being in the Zelda series. Here he's either been Mr. Wright in Link's Awakening, or he's been known as Dr. Left in both the Oracle games as well as the Minish Cap. So if you think about it, he's actually a Zelda character. Whoa! And Chain Chomp is also a Zelda rep by that logic. And Kirby. Anyways, all he does is summon 3 skyscrapers, which rise up and deal variable damage, usually around 40% or so. Yeah, these are 3 different skyscrapers, by the way. Slightly flaccid ones, but still skyscrapers nonetheless. I always kind of internalized it as just one building with just different sections, but this makes more sense now that I'm looking at it. But anyways, the damage it deals all comes from these skyscrapers' growth, so there's no lingering hitbox. This makes the time frame of when you can get hit actually kind of limited, especially given how small the size of it is. Though there is actually a 25% chance for Dr. Wright to spawn in some slightly bigger buildings. These only do about 5 extra damage compared to the normal size, but its biggest strength is that it drags the opponent way closer to the top blast zone before launching them. So in practice, a small skyscraper doesn't KO Ganondorf until a little over 100%, whereas the bigger ones KO at around 70% instead. But really, I'd say its biggest benefit is just its sheer size. It's a little harder to dodge this one. Now, you might not know this, but you can force these big buildings to spawn if you just attack Dr. Wright before he starts his construction. This will trigger this animation, which causes him to immediately build the large-sized skyscraper. The damage is the same as before, but the added speed is nice, and he'll even turn around to face you just to get the counter off. You might hear this and think, okay, cool, in a free-for-all setting I can just hit him with a projectile and trigger the big skyscraper on my opponents while being safe, right? Well, yeah, he's not just turning around, he's specifically constructing the skyscrapers under your feet as a counter. And it doesn't really seem to matter how far away from him you are, he'll find you. So maybe wait until after the building is already made before you start trying to destroy him. Also, quick bonus, apparently he has a falling hitbox when he first spawns in. It deals 2% and that's it. I don't know why this assist has it and not really any of the others, but sure, why not? Flies in hand are a common assist with 30 HP and a few restrictions. They come from Mario Paint, actually, specifically in Nat Attack. Yeah, if you didn't know, these are essentially a Mario rep, but given their placement all the way down here on the list, they're being treated more like a miscellaneous game rep. Anyways, when this spawns in, a bunch of flies will start buzzing around. And while this is happening, the hand with the fly swatter will do what you expect it to do. Help make you a meal with your leftover ground beef. When it swats at the flies, a little corpse will fall down, and a new fly will come in from the screen's edge to take its place. In total, only 3 flies can be on screen at once. The way the assist deals damage is by accidentally swatting the players alongside the flies. To make this happen a bit more consistently, the flies will generally gravitate towards players, encouraging the hand to swat towards you and deal damage. That damage ranges from 20 to 25% depending on how close to the center you were, and the knockback is surprisingly low, so it's really just a source of damage and annoying inconvenience for the opponent. Very fitting for the housefly assist, but that's it working as intended. In reality, not all of the flies are going to be swarming players, so in a less crowded environment, you can barely do anything and the fly swatter might just miss, or go after a fly that wasn't around you, and nothing really happens. It benefits a lot more from a chaotic free-for-all environment where there's more players around. But yeah, the counterplay is just about that. Try to stay away from the flies, maybe dodging every now and then, and just kind of hope you don't get hit too much. Or you can just kill the hand. Yeah, I did say that its HP was at 30, so you can attack it, but given how jittery and unpredictable its movements are, it's fittingly much like killing a real housefly. And even if 30 HP isn't a lot, it's enough to make you have to get a few really big hits in, especially to deal the finishing blow, which is not easy. And the more you try to stay close to the hand to hit it, the more you get hit, so yeah, I don't recommend it. But if you do get the kill, you get to see that it makes this funny face before dying, another reference to Nat Attack. Bonus clip, watch as the hand swats all 3 flies at the same time. Sweet! The Prince of Sablé is an uncommon assist with 35 HP and only 2 restrictions. And he comes from the game The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls. Metal name, I love that. His preferred way to exist is either as a frog or a snake. In his frog form, he'll jump around the stage, a subtle reference to how frogs also jump. And when he's a snake, he'll race along the ground, being faster but not having any vertical reach. In either of these cases, this only changes how he traverses, as if you get hit by him at all, it'll activate this cartoon fight cloud where anyone caught in it takes 25% total, and then experiences a decent amount of knockback. Like, it's not crazy high, but it'll take stocks at around like 100% or so by the ledge, so you know, not great. Though, much like Claptrap, the biggest danger of attacks that lock players in place for a while is the fact that other people can then walk up, charge a really strong attack, and hit you during it, so it can at least still be pretty useful. Unless he goes into his frog form and activates his attack above someone. I don't know how niche of an interaction this is, but it happened multiple times in testing, where if he jumped near someone, the cartoon fight cloud would activate but not actually hit anyone into it. So that's kind of unfortunate. Sukapon is a common assist with 50 HP and, would you look at that, no restrictions! This funny guy is from a game called Joy Mech Fight, and on top of having a very unfortunate name for English audiences, is actually another character with history to the Smash series. Bringing up Sakurai's Melee board again, he got a request for a character from Joy Mech Fight on there too, and in this, he specifically stated that the only reason Sukapon wasn't in that game was due to adult matters. which is supposedly just his own jargon for legal issues. Now, I don't know if this was the actual only reason why he wasn't in the game, but that's the level of popularity we're talking about over there. Anyways, he's here in Smash now, yippee, and he has 3 attacks. The 2 you'll see the most are either his head toss, which deals 16%, or this gnarly rolling cartwheel attack, which deals 12%. Not huge damage, but these both have really solid knockback potential and overall decent coverage. But he also has a 3rd attack where he'll quickly grab and throw you backwards. This deals 22% and has insanely high knockback. That paired with how quickly it comes out, and this can catch you totally off guard. The way he jumps around, spaces you out, and hits hard makes him honestly pretty fun to 1v1. And if you try to deal damage to him, you might notice that he'll occasionally block your attack. I think this only happens if he's in a properly neutral state, where he hasn't yet chosen something to throw out at you. So given how often he is flinging out attacks, you won't be seeing this block all the time, but still enough. For some fun miscellaneous things, I'd like to point out his goofy wide-eyed expression he makes when he gets hit, or that his projectile head makes when he throws it. And speaking of that, yes, you can actually reflect his head too. In my testing, it seemed to mostly result in him blocking it, just with how it works with his attack intervals, but it can still hit the person who summoned him. But no, you can't pocket and subsequently steal his head, unfortunately. That would be pretty funny though. Isaac is a common assist with 50 HP and only 3 restrictions, and he comes from the game Golden Sun. For his duration, he'll use one of 3 moves sourced from his original game. The one you'd be most familiar with is Move. This is where he sends out a palm thrust that pushes opponents towards the side blast zone, just like how he functions with his appearance from Brawl. The attack doesn't actually do any damage, and the knockback is set, but otherwise it's not really too deadly, especially given how easily you can just shield it. In this version of Isaac, however, he actually has 2 other attacks, the next being Pound, where he'll slam his fist downwards, and that's kinda it. It's Isaac's only attack that deals damage at a measly 10%, and doesn't really have great KO power either, really. It does spike aerial opponents, which might come into play sometimes, but otherwise it's not really his greatest move. And lastly, he has Lift, which functions much like the Beetle in that you'll get lifted up to the top blast zone, but you can mash out of it. So at higher percent thresholds, this may be able to take stocks more consistently than anything else he has, but until then, it's not going to be doing too much. Also, fun fact, but I guess when the hands spawn in, they function as a hitbox that launch inwards too. Still dealing 0 damage, but I didn't know that this was a thing before. Big credits to Canvas K for getting this little graph out there too, which shows Isaac's range for each of his attacks, meaning wherever the nearest opponent is standing will determine which of the moves he can choose from. So Move can still end up appearing the most often if people are trying to keep their distance from him. Though speaking of that, while you've been seeing Isaac teleport around in this footage, this happens when you get close to him, not out of range, so it's very possible for you to sit way out of range of anything he has, and he'll just be content to throw out Move and nothing else. I guess some things never change. What also never changes is just how stupid this game is. So if you try to reflect the hands in any context, it just won't work, obviously, right? Maybe it's not obvious, but yeah, you can't even pocket them either. They're clearly not meant to be messed with. And yet, if Rosalina uses her gravitational pull, yeah, it completely nullifies this character. For no reason at all. The hitbox of the hand being flung around is weird. Like, you'd think it didn't even have a hitbox based on what you're seeing, but there was like one time where it hit Hero here, so I don't know. That was for Move at least. For Pound, it did even less. And for Lift, it just kinda totally breaks. If you start the gravitational pull before the hands clap together, they just disappear, vanishing, like they were torn apart by a black hole. Except this animation is more akin to actually falling in a black hole in Mario Galaxy, going in the big spiral, but whatever. The hands also just disappear if you use gravitational pull as soon as Isaac spawns in the hands. Like, they're just not there at all. I don't know, there's really not that much to go into with this other than that it's just so silly. Sure, let's just have this one character completely nullify this one assist. Why not? Why not? Starfy is one of the 2 ultra rare assist trophies in the game, having 35 HP and just 1 restriction. I have no idea why he hates Suzaku Castle so much, so how about we force him onto the stage by using the Omega version. Anyways, he comes from the legendary Starfy series, and his function as an assist is so simple. He jaunts around and will do a little spin attack. That's it. This attack is really underwhelming. Doesn't do that much damage and cannot KO. Actually, is it even possible for it to KO? Let's try it at 999 real quick. Oh, okay, yeah, that KOs. So when does it start KOing? Alright, not at 300%, not even at 600%, and now I just keep falling out of the attack. Okay, cool, please, just kill me. Okay, around 650% give or take, you can finally KO the lightest character in the game. He's essentially a joke character, though you could argue that this somewhat long multi-hit has the same trapping effect as other assists that we've gone over, so I think saying that he's useless would be a bit of an overstep, but whatever. Now, this moveset technically got nerfed following Brawl, where in that game, if he took over 40% damage, he'd gain a hitbox around his body that stuns the opponent, and KOs way better. But this only worked because assist trophies couldn't properly be KO'd in that game. Now here, because you can kill him horribly, he just doesn't do that. Even if we keep him alive forever with our Immortal Assist Trophy glitch and deal well over 40% damage, he won't gain that hitbox or anything. It didn't stay coded in. Oh, and by the way, setting up this glitch on an annoying moving target while controlling both characters was one of the most frustrating things I've done in a long time. So yeah, Starfy is basically just an ultra rare dud. Almost reminds you of someone else, right? Nintendog is an uncommon assist trophy that cannot be destroyed and has a small handful of restrictions. I'd also like to point out that its name is in all lowercase, unlike any of the other assists, so make sure you echo that in your own essay summaries after class. In Brawl, the assist spawned in a Labrador Retriever, Smash 4 spawned in a French Bulldog, and Ultimate spawns in a Toy Poodle. They're all evil though, because they block the screen for a variable amount of time, and that's it. The lowest time I ever got was about 7 seconds, which really isn't that bad, but I'd rather 0 seconds. And the longest time I got in my minimal testing was closer to 13 or 14 seconds. On one hand, it's kind of funny that you can have this goofy pup hiding any of your actions from your opponent, but like with all of the other blinding assists, because they affect everyone including yourself, it's just sad. I don't like hating on puppies. You just gotta knock it off. Daddy's trying to clip farm us Ganondorf, okay? Oh, bonus jank. If you're zoomed in and spawn it in training mode, when it disappears, it doesn't have the courtesy of fixing the camera back to how it was before, like a lot of these assists that affect zooms, so thanks for that, I guess. But I'm tired of assists for today, so let's just leave it there. I really like how the random color generator produced mostly greens and blues. Like, here's the full string that I had, I didn't just make it all up. Just kind of funny that it chose my favorite colors. Also, you've probably noticed a decrease in my upload rate recently, and I don't have much to say other than life's just been kinda changing. I intend to get back into uploading more frequent long-form videos, but balancing it with daily shorts isn't going to be as feasible as I go forward with my life, so I was kinda going back and forth on which I should focus on more. But I do think I want to just take a step back from the shorts a bit more. I mean, I've got a lot of series and new content I'm setting on for the long-form stuff. But that's about it for the outro. Thank you so much for learning about some more assist trophies, and a big thank you to my loyal, ever so lovely patrons, Pixelboy, Raighne, Soul700, Burbo, Erick Delgado, SpiderJew, BanditGal, Entiss, Stan Odd Eye Circle, TheMonarchofTetris, and TheYoYo99. Stay casual, and I'll see y'all later.